guys, it is Heather from Tech at Lowell Library. I am here today just to the name for this is going to be School Survival Tips because that was as creative as I was feeling. Essentially, it's just some things that I have learned in my years of going to school and college and all that fun stuff that make your life a little bit easier, especially with the chaos going on right now of half in person, all online, some online. I personally did online classes when I was in college, when I went to Central Piedmont Community College. I enjoyed it, but I know it's a really weird experience, especially with the weird way they're kind of having to do it right now. It doesn't have to be an awful experience. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but there are definitely tips and tricks for that and just for school in general that can make your life easier. Please learn from my mistakes because I definitely made a few. Almost failed a couple classes, managed by the skin of my teeth not to, so just gonna talk about a few things I've learned. Probably not gonna get through everything I have today, so there will probably be at least one more video. But we'll go ahead and get into it because I don't like to just sit here and talk about nothing for long. So my first tip is one of the biggest ones. Have a planner and use it. Trust me, I used to be the person who just did not have one and just kind of tried to remember assignments or wrote it down in like random sheets of paper or just went through my backpack looking for assignments. And that worked okay until I was taking 5 classes at once and almost failing 2 of them. So, have a planner, use it. Usually college is nice because you get a syllabus. If your teacher right now does that, as soon as you get that syllabus, if it has a list of assignments and test dates, you write that down in your planner immediately. Color code, whatever you want. The beauty of a planner is there's lots of different kinds now. You can get it in so many different formats. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You will probably have to play around to try and figure out what one works best for you or what method works best for you. I've definitely moved through a few. One of the layouts I have used looks like this. Oh, here, this is a better look. Ignore that, please. So it looks like this. So it's got like priorities, more to do, and then like events and that kind of thing, and a little extra space, as well as that's the weekly layout. And then the monthly, you can see, put my schedule in. This is from actually when I started working here at Tech. It's very exciting. But my current one is actually, it's a bullet journal. So it's essentially a blank notebook that I get to make up and do whatever I want with, which suits me right now because mostly I just have work and I don't have homework right now. This may change in January when I start grad school, but right now this is working, so I usually, again, please excuse the things that just fly out of my planners because I also use them to store things. So I usually have some sort of monthly layout where I can keep track of work schedule, various events. As you can see, I decided to do a lot of webinars last month because it's like school, but I get to pick what I get to learn about, which is nice. And then also I put like people's birthdays because I always forget this if they're not written down in about 10 places. Another pro tip for life. I'll also add like overarching sort of tasks to get done in the month. And then my weekly just kind of looks sort of as I go each day. I like this because it can kind of, with not much going on, I can kind of integrate like notes and other little tidbits. But the really structured one definitely helped when I was still in class and helped me get started and kind of get in the habit of writing everything down. I know at one point, one of the schools I went to just gave us like a free one, which was great. It was really basic, had a lot of random stuff in it, to be honest. But it was something, it had dates and you could write stuff in it. I definitely recommend always having at least a monthly and a weekly layout just because you can get like big picture and kind of dial down into details, but planner is basically a must for school, especially once you start getting in with more assignments in college, because they're not going to remind you, and you're going to have paper assignments, you're going to have online assignments. And I had one online class where we had assignments on 2 separate websites, so that was a fun task to try and keep up with. So get your planner, write down homework as soon as you know about it, write down tests as soon as you know about it, because then it's never a surprise, and those are never the fun surprises. Save surprise for fun surprises like cake. All right, tip 2 is semi-related. Take notes. Take notes in class. Take notes when you read your textbook. Take notes when you're studying. The easiest taking notes is when you're reading the textbook, because usually, at least the ones I remember, sort of already have some sort of outline, so you can follow that outline, so it's really easy. Like if you're reading your notes and you have a question, it's easy to find that spot in the textbook. I'm going to link some things down below about different methods of taking notes. I never had a very organized way like during class. My favorite was when, like in college, when the professor would publish the slides ahead of time, because then I could have those. I didn't have to worry about forgetting to write something down. But usually my in-class notes would just kind of be a mess as I kind of went. Make sure they're still readable and that you can understand. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You just actually have to be able to use the notes. And then if your teacher repeats something, especially if they repeat it multiple times, or they're like, this is important, or even better, this is on the test, write it down, underline it, circle, highlight, make it very obvious that this is something important. Again, it's okay if it's messy. It's okay if you think you've forgotten things. Find a way to abbreviate words is what I did for a lot of my professors. So again, make sure you understand your own abbreviations, but there's a reason people learn shorthand, and fast talkers are one of them. Never failed. It's another thing where you kind of just have to figure out what works for you. We're doing pretty good on time, so we'll go ahead on to tip number 3, which is study smarter, not harder. So now that you have your notes, you've got your planner with all your test dates, so you know when the test is coming up ahead of time. So you're going to want to give yourself plenty of time before the test to study, not the night before. It's never fun. Last minute panic does not work with tests. It doesn't make you do better, it probably makes you do worse. So, great thing to do to study is take your notes, rewrite them in one of the formats that I'm linking below. You're gonna have to play around to kind of figure out what works best for you, and what works best may be different for each subject. I took accounting classes, and the only way to study for those was honestly to do practice problems. So a lot of like math and sciencey stuff, you're probably going to want to do some practice problems. Flashcards are great, especially since it's going to make you do active recall, which we'll link below because I don't remember the actual explanation for that. So somebody smarter than me is going to talk about it in the link below. Mind maps, where you kind of like start with one bubble and you go off into other bubbles. The more you sort of play with the material and think around it and about it, the more likely you are to remember. That's why they also tell you, like, if you teach it to somebody else, it'll help you remember. Or you can make like your own pseudo test questions, and that'll help you remember, except you can't just make yourself easy test questions, because you know that's not what the teacher's going to do. So let's all be honest. Also, these words will strike fear into your heart until the end of your schooling career. Cumulative finals. So, lots of people like them. I've only had a few teachers who have not done cumulative finals, so the best way to handle those is to study as you go. Don't leave it all till last minute. It's also why you take notes as you go. Start taking notes as soon as classes start, or sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I would have to go back and redo the beginning chapters because I didn't have my life together when school started. Don't be me. Have things together, at least semi, and take notes and already be studying from week 1 of classes. Don't wait for motivation. You're never gonna want to study. It's always so boring. That's what always killed me, was it was always so boring. My brain was like, we already know this. And then tests would come and it's like, we don't know this. So don't wait for motivation. Have a plan, study, and then you'll do better on tests because you're not going to worry about it as much because you're going to be like, I know this material. It's great. It's fine. I got this. Looking at the time, I think that's going to be all from me today. I have a few other tips, just a couple, so it'll probably be at least one more short video. If you have other things you want me to talk about, like writing papers, because I've got a few tips for that. There's a couple good methods to do that, or doing research, that kind of thing. Just comment below or on our Facebook, at the Tech at Lowell Facebook page or the Gaston County Library Facebook page. People will get it to me if you comment somewhere around the library stuff. Just let me know what I can do to help. And I hope you found this helpful, and again, I'll link some resources below, so please look at those because I don't know everything. That's the beauty of the internet, is I don't have to know everything. So, bye.